Every bishop has the authority to make particular law in his diocese. And what I often talk with you about are what we call best practices. That which we can know from the 14,000, the experience of the 14,000 parishes across the United States who have pastoral councils. Now, I will also say to you that if you're tripping over parish pastoral council, just use pastoral council, because at your level, there's no need to designate it as the parish's pastoral council. That only differentiates it from the diocesan pastoral council, which is in the process of being rethought with the change of the bishop, okay? But you can just call it the pastoral council. So you have a pastoral council and a finance council and whatever other bodies that the pastor needs to bring into being to advise him. So just for instance, on question number 3, where the question was about parliamentary procedure, prayerful style, and parish administration, that's a place where best practices can really help us. Mark is not saying that that a pastoral council should use parliamentary procedure. We have some evidence from best practices that parliamentary procedure doesn't work very well in a consultative body based on discernment. Okay? So very few pastoral councils use Robert's Rules of Order. They use operating guidelines that they agree to about what the rules, what the official church teaching says and what it doesn't say. And so just to make the point, every parish level pastoral council is going to be different, just as every pastor is different, just as God puts gifts for every community and calls forth from every community a different way to address the mission. Okay? So just to make that point. And just so you have a sense of the continuum that this is on, how many are here today from parishes who do not currently have a pastoral council? Great. I appreciate you coming today because this is how you get it right. You think about it before you do it, okay? And this is what a pastor does when he wants to make good decisions. Today, in effect, is part of the consultation process of establishing a council for you. How many are currently operating, at least by the way you know it, as a council of ministries, coordinating the ministries of the parish? Nobody's doing that anymore, huh?
They're just not fessing up.
They're not fessing up. In many cases, we still find this the dominant model in the diocese, and we often recommend to a parish that if that council of ministries is serving a purpose, call it a council of ministries, just don't call it the pastoral council. Okay? And so there are a few parishes around the diocese that I've worked with that has a council of ministry that just meets 2 or 3 times a year, and their job is to coordinate and lift up and support all ministry in the parish. Okay? But that's not necessarily the role of the pastoral council. How many of the councils, like Father Fernando in Mark's example, are, what did he call them, sounding boards? You get together with the pastor and the pastor tells you kind of what's going on and he asks your opinion in the moment. How many operate as sounding boards? And I think, you know, that's really honest, and that's often where a pastor starts with a council because he doesn't know how to formulate the question. And that's something that we can certainly help him on. There's also something that came actually from my work with the St. Benedict's crowd over the years, their idea of a parking lot. As you are known as members of the pastoral council, the parish tries to use you as a complaint board. That's another thing the pastoral council is not. But one of the nicest techniques that I heard, and it may not have come from St. Benedict's, is in the first few minutes of the meeting, even before they enter into prayer, the question is just asked, what are you hearing? They put all that stuff up on a whiteboard, and they record it. They essentially put it in a parking lot. Okay, the things you're talking about in the parking lot, they put in a parking lot. And every third month, they look to see if there are reoccurring themes happening in the parking lot. And it's a place where the pastor might begin to draw a question. They do not problem solve. They do not answer the complaints. That's not their job. A lot of times the things on that board, the pastor sees and he refers to the appropriate staff member to address. But over time, that parking lot can help formulate a question that perhaps needs to be asked. So I thought it was a best practice. I apologize if it didn't come from St. Benedict's.
No, it's
It did.
halfway there.
It's
Yes.
halfway there. Okay. So,
If you have a parking lot.
but that's what I mean by, there are some particular law that I will share with you regarding the diocese, but there are also best practices. We can learn from one another, and it's a way to deal with the practical aspects of this.